Hey, this week on TESTPLUG, we have an interview with Acquired Taste. Count Tastus is talking to us a little bit about making toys, selling toys. Yeah, that's what he does. That's the stuff he does. That's why I'm interviewing him. But we also get to talk about Star Wars for a while, too. So that's a bonus episode, or bonus to this episode, I should say. Been an interesting week for TESTPLUG. We went through a little bit of a COVID scare. We killed off a fish tank, and we got a new job. So it'll be interesting weeks to come. Next week we got DKE Toys Dove. We're talking to the man, the myth, the legend, and how he's going to sell toys in the future too. Cool beans. Thanks for watching TESTPLUG. And we'll start off with how the heck are you, sir?
Good. Been good. Life's always weird, but it's definitely I'm enjoying working on my stuff. That's
Nice.
what I do the majority of the time.
Yeah, you just had a new release. Well, it's been about a month now, but how's that going for you? The mutters.
Good. She sold it out in about a week. I had pre-sold a couple. I have one here where she doesn't have her dress or her beehive, so you can just see
Nice.
her
Her Marge Simpson.
Yeah, her Marge Simpson beehive. Yep.
Nice. So I've been following you for a bit. I have one of your earlier pieces here, not your early was the Ugnaught first?
Yep. The Ugnalumpa was the first thing I did, or the first thing I released, I guess. And yeah, that we were just talking about that Emperor Cryogenius that you have there. The edition of 30 that I did for DKE. I thought it was going to go differently than it did. I thought I'd be able to just submerge the head in clear resin and mold it that way. But the way it magnified it, I had to change gears and do something much more complicated. And so I ended up staying up for like 3 or 4 days to get them done. Tom was very good. Tom at Sidekick Labs, and Matt too. Matt hurried up and did that beautiful artwork because the other artist that I'd made arrangements with bailed on me. There may have been other factors involved too. I don't know, but like but the point of the story though is that after getting kind of strung along by him, Matt Talbot from he has a website, mattrobot.com.
Okay.
Always done my artwork. He came through with a design really fast that
nice,
just beautiful. And then Tom did the cards in record time. And then after staying up all that time, I drove to Vermont to pick up the cards because I cut it so close that I couldn't even have them overnight ship them to me.
Oh wow.
And then I grabbed my little brother to keep me awake and drove to New York and dropped them off to Dove for the convention. So it was a learning experience. I'll never cut it that close again, but I'm glad I did manage to get it done. So
nice. Yeah, and then working with DKs, hopefully I have an interview set up with him coming up. I'm actually supposed to call him this afternoon.
Dove Kelmer?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah, I met him in the parking garage and handed him my box of figures and
yeah, it sounds like he's gotten a few of those deals here or there.
Yeah, I guess a couple, it seems like a couple guys always show up the second or third day of the convention with either something that's late or something that they're surprising with. So.
Well, I mean, when 90% of everything is done by hand, there's always factors in there, dry times and stuff like that you'd love to plan for, but sometimes just doesn't quite go as expected.
Right. It really is a Murphy's Law thing with this, because there are factors, unforeseen factors that always come into play. You always have to give yourself more lead time, and no matter how much it is, when push comes to shove, it's really never enough. It's always going to be a challenge.
Yeah,
to bang it out when you want it, by the time you want to get it out by.
Yeah. Well, and then by then you're also, it's reaching into the pocketbook pretty good, so you really need to get them out at that point.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, when I did the Mutta figure, I went to like a FedEx store to print out the art before I adhered it to the boards, and they whacked me with like an additional unseen $15 fee for getting more than $50 worth of work done same day.
Oh, same day crap. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but like I had no idea, and I guess it was something that they had just introduced. But like, there's always stuff like that. Like, so if you're, with time and money,
Yeah.
yeah, you always need some slop in there, I guess.
Well, let's, I guess, get into a little bit of the nitty gritty. How did you get started with toys? What was your growing up on toy stuff?
Well, as a kid, I played with Star Wars stuff so much, and I did have a couple friends that I'd play with, but it was never as much fun as playing by myself, oddly enough. And um, I'm trying. Well, you're gonna have to edit out these horrible pauses, maybe. But um, I ended up. They ended up being an important part of my life when I didn't have a lot of friends, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
and so that was really like my relationship with it. Like I got my first C3PO when I was like 4. Like I was born in 77, so I saw the first Star Wars movie when they re-released
The
it in like
second. Yeah, that was me too.
81.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by it, but I had questions, like we went to McDonald's after. It was me and my babysitter, and I had to ask her a bunch about it. But like I always loved the figures, and I made sure that my parents understood that my vintage collection wasn't going anywhere, like that these were sort of holy and sacred things to me, and they were all about it. Like, so they've been in the attic
Nice.
for a long time. I don't have a lot of space in my apartment, but every once in a while I go to my parents' house and dig out more of my stuff. But so when I went to art school, I was really determined to either be like a fine artist or somebody that worked in film doing puppets or makeup. And there was in the course of study that I had, there was a required toy design course. And at the time I was just like, all right, get this thing out of the way. Like, it really, my thinking at the time was that I don't want to do toys of someone else's property. And that's really the only career that's available in this.
Yeah.
And eventually I came to realize if you're a movie special effects guy, you're also working towards somebody else's vision, which is something I should have realized much sooner.
Yeah.
But that was sort of why I was not that interested in the toy design class. But when I joined, at some point I became really disgusted with politics and started unfollowing a lot of my longtime friends on Facebook and stuff. Just because I was disgusted with both sides of all debates and the depths that were being stooped to by everyone. So I said, instead of this politics stuff, I'm going to get into some Star Wars groups.
Good call.
Where we can all just sort of enjoy this thing that we love together, and it'll be like a good kumbaya time for all of us, just with our universal love of this great thing that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Like,
Till you get to the new movie haters.
Well, right, yeah. This was like just
But
before.
in
This was
general,
like a year or two before Force Awakens that I was like, I'm going to forego real life for the galaxy, and that it only got uglier over time. Like, since the I think people were apprehensive when Disney bought it, and wanted to see what would happen, and then Force Awakens was immediately divisive, and then it only got worse from there.
I'm not. We'll hold off a little bit of that talk. We'll get back to
we'll
this.
get back into So one of these Star Wars groups that I joined was a group called Star Wars Resins, Customs and Bootlegs, I think it's called.
Okay.
And the main administrative creator of the group is a guy from Hawaii named Estria, an artist that does a lot of beautiful mural work, and he has prints on his website and stuff. So I joined this group just as sort of an observer, somebody that looked forward to seeing the pictures
Right.
and the process. And after a while, I started to look forward to it more than anything else in my feed. And it was really when I saw Scott Cherry's see-through R2D2 that
Exactly.
yeah, you've got that one too, right. Yeah. When I saw that, and when I had sort of a weird trip just trying to mentally process it, like, is this a shape-shifting creature that's pretending to be a robot, or is this is this a alien that's coincidentally shaped like an R2 unit that's wearing a costume,
Yeah.
or like trying to make it make sense, and then it not having to make sense. Uh all the different possibilities. It was a really fun moment, or it was a long moment. I spent a
Yeah.
lot of time looking at those pictures and thinking about it, and I would think about it throughout my day. And so at that point, and I was like, oh man, it'd be great if I could make stuff that made someone else feel that way.
Yeah.
And
It's that weird like catch of nostalgia, but also like creativity like thrown in, down your throat basically, that really kind of grabs it. And with your stuff too. It's obviously it's, in the Star Wars world, but it's not, anything you've seen on the screen by any means.
right, yeah, like I'm trying to kind of do the same thing where I try to have the viewer imagine how it would fit in,
Right.
or what it means. Like I hope there's a couple different directions people can go with it when they look at it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So
Did
go ahead.
you do a lot of drawing art too then as a kid, or?
Yeah, that's what I grew up doing mostly. And then I'd say in high school, I realized I was a lot more comfortable and enthusiastic about sculpture
Oh,
itself.
nice.
Because like drawing to me feels more like math. You're trying
Okay.
to translate real life into two
Yeah.
dimensions, whereas with sculpture, you can see all the way around it. You can, I don't know, it makes more sense to me. I
Nice.
think my brain's too primitive for for drawing or painting. I can do it. It's just not fun. I
Yeah.
plan on doing some of my own art for this stuff soon, but I'm not sure which project I'll be doing it for. I've got a couple ideas that I'm going to be doing, like probably my next, after this clutter show where I have something I'm also excited about. My next couple ideas, some people might find upsetting, and I'm a little worried about a couple of my long-term
Yeah.
fans that might misinterpret what I'm trying to say.
Right, right.
But like at the same time, you don't want to address it uh, and diminish somebody's ability to take what they want away from it.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I should involve Matt in such rotten things, or if I should just bang it out myself.
Understood, understood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
I was kind of going through that last night as I was looking through some other people that I follow, um as far as like, do I want to invite people into seeing some of their other artwork and stuff like that? Because, although I get it and understand where it's coming from, it's not always interpreted by the whole rest of the world the same way, kind of stuff.
right. Yeah. Especially this sort of figure art.
Yeah.
It sort of requires a little bit of initiation, like a little bit of knowledge before you look at it, I think.
Right, right.
Which is, it's neat that we're speaking our own language, but at the same time, it's one of the reasons I think it doesn't get taken seriously sometimes. Or
Yeah, it's kind of a weird, like, oh, you guys play with toys. Well,
right.
no, I mean, yes, but no.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that
uh,
was one of the things that attracted me to it too. Was like, I was like, I have an excuse to handle these things again
yeah,
now. Like
yeah.
these things that brought me comfort as a kid. So
And I think I mean, obviously it's on a little different level. I mean, you can get like majorly into like the art toys and all that stuff where you're, spending $200 a piece. But a lot
yeah,
of the stuff that, if you hit the $50-$60 mark, that's, on the higher end of, as far as for a lot of the stuff that I'm collecting, at least. I don't.
yeah. Yep. It's with the vinyl stuff, it's hard too, because a lot of it ends up getting sticky over time, or if you live
Yeah,
in a warmer climate, it starts to lean over and
yeah.
fall on your floor. I mean, what a nightmare. Like resin's more appealing to me, I think, just because I grew up with the Kenner Star Wars toys, so
Right.
it's closer to me than some squishy rubbery thing.
Yeah. Although I think some of the old stuff too, like I actually was bidding on, think I turned it down, but it was remember that series Crystar, where where they're all like see-through characters.
Yeah, which guy were you going for?
Well, actually, I was bidding on the dragon.
Oh yeah, okay, all right. The one
And
that
the
they
guy was
ride.
saying that the problem is that the old resin wasn't stable, and so like the wings like almost
Well,
like
yeah, like
melt
a
in your
lot of old
hand almost.
Hasbro stuff, like
Yeah,
Crystar's not Hasbro, but like a lot of old GI Joe stuff is very brittle too. Like I
yeah,
watched a lot of reviews of vintage stuff where they're like, "Don't try to put the gun in this guy's hand," or "For God's
yeah.
sakes, don't stick the peg up this guy's foot, or his heel's gonna shatter on you."
Right.
That's one thing Kenner got right, or yet another thing Kenner got right, I should
Yeah,
say.
I mean, well, that and like building the collecting world basically,
Yeah.
but um so let's see where we're gonna go with this. um so now you've produced what, 5 different characters
Yep.
in this realm?
Yep. 6, and there's one that I'm gonna sort of a variant that I'm coming out with in a
Okay.
limited run for the
Will
Clutter
that be in
Show.
the Acquired Taste like Star Wars logo, or?
Yep,
Okay.
still going with that. And then a little later this year, there's one when I started doing this, I was like, at some point I should do a figure that has no Star Wars parts at all,
Yeah.
even if it refers to the Star Wars universe. So I'm sort of going outside of the galaxy for one of my toys this year. And it's impractical. It's probably going to be expensive, and I don't know who is going to buy it. I'm not, I hope I don't lose anybody with this thing, but it's a thing that I feel like I have to do.
I'm sure there's a market for everything. I don't think,
Yeah, let's hope so.
and like I said, a lot of people, half their stuff is one direction, and then they have a whole other direction, and you just kind
I
of.
think I lose some people concentrating as hard as I do on Star Wars. So it's a sort of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
There's a lot of kind of
if only you did He-Man.
right, exactly. Yeah. They're like, this guy's funny, but I wish he did He-Man, or I wish he did GI Joe, or
Yeah.
People that are sick of Star Wars.
Have you seen the guy that's been doing the porcelain, like He-Man and Boba Fett's and stuff like that?
Yeah, that stuff is beautiful. It is.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, I've done some pottery stuff, but I mean the turning a plate is a whole different than silt forming and worrying about shrinking. And
and porcelain requires like such high temperatures to fire. That's God bless that guy, man. That's a headache I wouldn't want. Well, actually, the other guys go, I'm like, nobody's doing it better you than me, you know.
I asked him about an interview. He's like, dude, right now I have no time to even sleep, because people they're selling as soon as he makes them.
Yeah,
but it is quite a process making them.
Yep. Well, hopefully he's able to name his price and make it worth.
I think he's doing okay. Doing
good.
Okay. And I guess from what I read on him, his family did porcelain work before that, and that's where he learned all of it. So it's kind of a take the heritage and turn it into something else kind of ordeal. So
nice. I wonder, did he say what his family thinks of his current endeavors?
I didn't get into it. Was just internet chat or Instagram chat. It wasn't
okay. All right.
too much more than that.
Let's reenact his entire interview on here. No,
yeah, this has been an interesting, getting to know some of these people, and there's people who are too shy to do interviews, and so I would love to, because this is a pretty, I'm not a stickler on the rules really on this at all. It'd be nice to get some of those people too, to hear some of their interesting thoughts and ideas, but I totally get it too. I mean,
Yeah, I kind of feel like I do plan on making a figure of myself at some point, but it'll probably be like almost like a mail away thing. Like take a picture of yourself with 5 of my figures and you'll get this thing for free.
Nice.
Because I don't know, I don't know that there's necessarily a market for people buying a figure of Count Tastus, but I think that people would, you know, they wouldn't throw it in the trash if it showed up at their house for
Right,
free.
right.
So
Well, especially if they've already bought 5-year figures, they're probably
right,
into your stuff enough.
right. That's my thought.
So what has been the highest run of figures you've made as far as pieces?
I think well, actually, funny enough, it was the first one I did. Like, I had this idea that I was going to do 36 of those Ugnalumpas for $36 a piece.
Oh, okay.
There's something that just seemed kind of clean and simple
Yeah.
about that. So I did those, and then like since then, I've done a bunch of like magnet articulated ones, probably a couple dozen of those, but those aren't really numbered, or they just kind of show up wrapped in tissue paper or something. They're for collectors that like their stuff loose. So I've probably done the most of the Ugnalumpa and the Emperor Cryogenius, which sadly my first 2 things, I guess. But
well, no, you
really
built a niche, and then people are just wanting more.
Right. Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I get it. The blisters on those, did you form those yourself then, or did you have those?
The first couple there were just commercially available,
Okay.
like new old stock StarWars blisters, but for most of them I've gone to Psychic Labs in Vermont and vacuum formed them.
Oh, okay.
So that's its own process, but the beautiful thing about it is that it's allowed me to do things other than the 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head,
Right.
like typical 5 POA shape figure. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it doesn't. And I'm gonna have some eventually, like the figure of myself and a couple other things.
You don't have extra arms.
Yeah, not me. I'm sure I'll have another one that does at some point. But like, it's hard to do anything creative or that's outside of that sort of template and find anything to fit it. Yeah. And
well, for the longest time,
it was a challenge for some guys, I think, is like doing creative things within that space.
Yeah.
But that's a challenge I haven't bellied up to yet, I guess. Really, I've chickened out and resorted to bothering poor Tom to help me make my blisters in Vermont.
Well, I'm sure he likes the business, but I mean, for the longest time, it was like you could get the Star Wars blister, or you could get the He-Man blister, and people didn't have all that stuff at home. Which I've been looking into it actually, and it's not the hardest thing to make your own blocks and vacuum form. It's like anything. Right.
It's just time consuming,
and
like
space.
I've been looking at it would be nice to not have to bother Tom because he's busy with with customers that pay him a lot of money, so it'd be nice not to have to bother him. So I've been looking into building my own thing, but it's gonna require me to develop some skills that I don't have in order to build this thing. Like I've never had to solder anything, even though I was a pipe fitter for a while. It was a different, it was all either threaded or groove couplings. So
yeah, and the whole electronics thing, I mean, I grew up around that stuff, but even like low voltage, small wiring, I haven't done that much of it. I mean, with my motorcycle, I tried to do a custom PCB board, and I had the board shipped, but then I didn't realize what size wire was right for it and stuff. So it's way too small to like do all the, for me to do the soldering at least.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. So it's tough to know. Sometimes it's like, do I, what money I have left from the Mutta project? Like, how should I invest that? Should it be in building a vacuum forming machine, or should it be in, there's one long-term project. Like, there's something I've had in mind for years now that it probably won't even come out this year, but it's going to require me to have something manufactured by someone else. And it's like, should I go ahead and have those things made before, like this year, just to have them and get that part way. So I don't know. It's funny. At first it starts out as a therapeutic, fun thing to do, and then it just gives you more stuff to think about and stress out about.
I totally understand. I have several projects here on my desk that I'm looking at that I'm trying to figure out, what's the next stage to finish this, and what am I going to do with it once it is finished?
Right. Right. Yeah. There's always that question, like, is it even important to sell this, or should I be
Yeah.
concentrating on things that are that I'm planning on selling? So
And then there's, like, oh, I don't know, a global pandemic, which changes
oh
your
geez.
whole
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, should I even be taking people's money for toys when clearly they need toilet paper?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say in the last months, my collecting has definitely diminished quite a bit, which is probably a good thing because it's easy to waste money on stuff too.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing that too much lately.
Well, let's see. So we know we got some stuff coming out in the future. The Mudda's all. Am I saying that right?
Yep, yep,
Okay.
Mutta.
That's all sold out. Is there any plans on making some more of those because it's sold out so fast, or
Probably in a couple of years or something, I'll do a small one like I did like five. Actually, well, there's been a couple small editions of Carded Cryogeniuses since the initial one. So I'm hoping, in a couple of years. The other funny thing is too, every time I do one of these figures while I'm working on it, like I imagine an immersive world for it and what other characters that interact with and stuff. And so I'm all prepared to like create this world, and I put it on sale, and once it's sold out, it's like, well, now I really should concentrate my efforts on the next thing.
Yeah.
So it would be neat to do another edition of her in the future to give me a chance to do some of these other things that I imagined.
When I was interviewing Scott Cherry, I was bugging him a little bit about getting a C-3PO
Oh yeah,
made, because I mean, I was watching his stuff when he made them, but they started just skyrocketing in price, where he was doing biddings on them, and like, yeah, I can't do $180.
right. Yeah. Some of his Instagram auctions were crazy, like before they changed the rules of Instagram. Really down on Scott Cherry and OnlyFans girls these days.
Yeah. Their algorithm is so, like, I don't know, it's frustrating to say the least, because you just get nonstop ads now. It's turning into Facebook too, is really what it's turning into.
Yeah. It was funny because, like, at first, Instagram was this sort of sanctuary where, like, mostly about art and pictures.
And the things you were into, and you could just focus on those things.
Right. And then I think, like, the first or second time I saw like an all text meme about somebody's political opinions, I was just like, oh my God, here they come. It's over. It's already over.
Yeah. So. With starting up this podcast, I've a couple different times of like promoted posts, and I get like 400 likes from people that would never look at my stuff.
Yeah. There are followers that are only following you because you followed them back, and then there's so much weirdness with Instagram. Like at first I was sort of like, it seemed so idyllic and just like a world of opportunity and beauty. Right. But of course that's going to get ruined by money and every other rotten thing over time. I guess when Facebook bought them, we should have known.
Yeah, it definitely changed some things at that point.
Yeah.
Have you looked into other, like, you got any conventions or anything coming up, or is there any shows?
I haven't really well, I am going to be doing the Clutter gallery in Action Figures 9, I think it is.
Okay.
And that's supposed to be around mid-March. Like I think I should have this in front of me, but I think it's the 12th and 13th of March is the opening of the show. But things being as they are, I don't know if they have plans for a real in-person opening or not.
Yeah.
But I will be having, I do have a small edition of figures that I'm working on for that show.
Okay.
And other than that, I think I'm going to be doing my my 2 releases this year that are probably going to cause everybody to unfollow me, and then then back to Star Wars next year. I think, I don't know. Well, I mean, they're both Star Wars to an extent. It's hard to explain without giving it away, and I don't want to.
Yeah, no. I don't want to push you to pre go there.
Yeah, right.
But it is cool that you do have, some stuff coming up. That's always exciting to hear that people aren't just nope, that was my last figure, I'm never doing it again.
Oh, I know. It's a bummer when somebody really great basically stops doing it. And I understand where they're coming from, because like when I started doing this, I think everybody has different expectations when they get into it. And I could have t-shirts and stickers and all that kind of stuff by now, but I just haven't bothered.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, you kind of have to just do it for doing it, because you're not making a ton of money off of stickers and t-shirts.
Yeah,
if anything.
Yeah, I guess there's some benefit to having like something like in the $20 range is like an impulse buy for people, but the cheapest thing I've ever done was $36, so
well, like I said, you haven't hit that art toy price range. Not that your stuff isn't beautiful and deserves credit, but that next tier of like, oh, okay, this is, Safubi money,
Well, even like, like the best and most famous guys I can think of for like a 3 3/4 figure, I don't, unless it's like a one-off type of deal, like I don't really see stuff exceed like, say, $110 too often.
Usually it'll be if it's like a custom, like they've done the custom artwork for the backboard or something like that. You'll see some of those where
it's an original piece of art or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rarely up that high.
Yeah, you have to go bigger. You have to go to a bigger scale.
Yeah.
I think to charge more than, say, I don't know. I think the traditional cap is like $80.
Yeah.
But for
yeah, or like a 3-piece set kind of thing where it's like you're getting a couple different figures.
Yeah, I have one of Dead Greedy's Beastie droids that's on the wall in my living room. That's a really beautiful piece. Very very inspiring.
Yeah, I'm glad he's back in making figures again.
Yeah, me too. It was so sad when he deleted his Instagram. I was like, what are you doing? Just put it on pause. Like I was writing him and begging him not to do it. But I'm glad he's back. That's what's important. That he's back.
Yeah, and that Micronaut set he just dropped is pretty sweet.
Oh, beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah.
Is it actually sellable yet, or
I think he had sold them. I think he had an edition of those in the past, but he's bringing them, like, it seems like every once periodically he'll crank out one of the hits.
Yeah.
When he has demand for it.
Yeah, he's like probably much like you have.
He's a real sweet fella too. He's one of the one of the first people that like reached out and was supportive when I started doing this stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I would say this community is so far since I've been involved with it has been super cool as far as replying to things, or if you have any questions, how to do things. A couple different times I've gone to both Scott Cherry and then also Magoob with just like, how do I mold this? How do I, set this thing up?
Yep.
Did you start with resin, or did you do any, like, I'm following a guy who does wax casting, like the traditional Kenner.
That's one of my ambitions for the year too, is to get into wax sculpting, because there's some stuff that I want to do that's too detailed to do. Like what I've been doing up to now is basically either carving the original figure and doing a little bit of sculpting on it, or doing a resin cast of the figure and carving and sculpting on that, which is so much easier. Like working on the original plastic. That's what I did for a couple of my projects, and I have a couple of things that are unfinished because that's how I started, and I got so pissed off that I abandoned it.
Yeah, the rubbery is nice because the figures still exist, but not the greatest thing to work on as far as for carving and making.
It's a blessing and a curse that you have to work so slowly. Like you have to whittle it so slowly, and then it takes forever to sand. So it's tough to go too far too fast.
Yeah.
but even I don't want to work that slow. I work pretty slow, but that's too much. Like it really worked for the first figure I did, and I thought that was how I was going to be working from there on in. But even though it's a pain to mold an original figure to get a resin cast to work from,
Right.
it's way less trouble than having one figure that you're struggling to whittle and sand, and then if you mess that one up, then you're toast. If you have the thing molded and you messed it up, you can you can start again.
Mold another one, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Or mold an extra arm because you need a second arm for a lightsaber.
That too. Like, who cares? There's a bubble in his chin. All I need is this, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Did you ever think about going down the whole I'll just, make blue Chewbacca's and sell those, or I'll just make,
I thought at first, like, maybe I'll have a beeline where I do like the simpler stuff that like is pretty, that people are into, that doesn't have too much thought or effort behind it. Well, it's funny, when I first started looking at this stuff and getting excited about it, I told my wife, like, oh, it's great. You just switch parts, and it doesn't even have to mean anything. It can just be something fun that looks cool. And she's kind of listening to me with her head in her hand, and she was like, I'm really glad you're excited, and I hope you do it. But the thing is, like, you need to realize that you're gonna F this up. And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, what you're talking about, like doing things quickly for fun. And she's like, that's not who you are. That's not who you've ever been. And taking apart action figures isn't going to change that. And sure enough, she was right. Like, I end up overcomplicating things, like shrinking parts of other toys, or growing things, or well, the other funny thing about this kind of art is there's a little game to how much of the original figure you leave.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on what you're trying to say or what's important to you for each thing. The formula is a little different depending on the project. Like, one thing might require more original sculpting and still be recognizable, whereas another thing is going to depend more on the parts themselves.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Maybe maybe the joke is based around something about the way the original figure looks, or that kind of thing. So
yeah, I didn't I missed out on the what was the girl with the tauntaun body, the
oh yeah, the butcher that I
the
did.
Butcher, yeah. But that doesn't, you didn't put a collapsible seat in the back of her or anything, did you?
No, I had to pretty much putty over one, actually, before I shrank her.
Did you, is that a solid resin piece? Is that?
Yeah, like the torso of her, from like her neck to the from her neck to the stub of her tail here. I decided to make the tail articulated. Another huge mistake. Another, like, why did I do that? I thought it would add like a different I thought it would add some options to how to pose her and stuff.
Right.
Change the angle of the tail and made it so you could turn it. I wish I had just left it alone. As it turns out, like, the tauntaun was sculpted by the father of Green Plastic Tunnels. I don't know if you follow him.
Yeah, his stuff is gorgeous.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a really neat take on all this stuff, and I love that, like, he's the son of one of the creators. Like, have you seen?
Pretty cool.
They've been advertising that book about building an empire. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
that's on my must-have list. I'll be buying that soon.
Yeah, it's nice because you have the kid robots, you have the couple different art toy stores and stuff like that, but there is now, especially with decon and stuff like that, there's a little bit more of the, you have the expensive art toys, you have the the stuff that there's stuff even in Walmart, you can get a money or money in Walmart and stuff like that, but it's bringing more attention to the rest of our world, I think, a little bit too, which is kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of like how, like, the crappiest pop punk might bring a kid to better punk rock.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Exactly. Whatever. Blink 182 for life, man.
Hey, that's fun too. It's fun too.
I grew up in
I
East
like,
Coast.
hey, I shouldn't speak in generalities like that. I like a lot of pop punk. I love the
I
Queers, love a lot of different
Yeah,
stuff. So,
yeah. No, I was a mostly East Coast punk
yeah.
kid growing up, so which I'm sure New Hampshire area is what you.
Yeah, like the Queers are from here, and
Yeah.
there's like a New England oi tradition too,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's yeah, and I love rockabilly and surf. I feel lucky to have been alive while
It
I
was a good
was.
time. It was a good era.
Yeah, right, right.
A lot less voice over aerophone, or what do they call that thing? The vibrating phone thing. The
Oh, the yeah, auto tune.
yeah, auto tune. There's a
Yeah,
lot less
yeah,
of that in that era.
right. Yeah, no kidding.
Although I'm sure Jello Biafra would have used it if if he wanted to.
We could have found a creative use for it. It's funny, like I was just talking to somebody recently about how well, I shouldn't be smiling and laughing while I talk about this, but didn't one of the guys from Milli Vanilli kill himself?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I mean, like, if he just waited a couple of years, nobody would have given a shit. They would have given him his own reality show.
Right.
Would have transitioned into film. Who knows? You know,
Yeah.
this is what's considered a scandal today is always going to loosen up tomorrow.
Right. Well, and then you have like stuff like K-pop and stuff like that where it's all lip syncing because they have 40-minute dance routines that they're perfecting.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah. The actual singing talent's not the most important part of what they're
Right.
doing. Yep. Becomes a group
Well,
effort.
we'll now transition a little bit to the important stuff at this point. We've geeked on about figures long enough here. We'll talk about a little bit of Star Wars.
Yes, please. All right, good. Good, good. Something I don't get to do often enough in real life.
So are you pro or anti new movies?
I went from being pro new movies to being neutral new movies.
Okay.
Like some of the stuff that bothers I don't want it's tough to know who I'm going to upset by saying what. The the complaints about Ray's natural talent don't resonate with me.
No.
The the complaints about diversity in the new movies do not resonate with me. That like so like a lot of the people, those are the first things that people
Right.
started really crapping on when
Right.
they
Exactly.
came out. They're like, what is this? And that was ridiculous. And then when I saw, so the first movie I was really into it. And then
Yeah.
when I saw The Last Jedi, at first I felt challenged by it. Like I went with a big group of people, and a
Yeah.
lot of my friends were like, "Yeah, that was awesome," and I'm like, "It was something," And
Yeah.
it took me a while to. Unlike most people, I ended up deciding that I really liked it.
Yeah.
Um, I
I mean,
love
it's one of those
Rogue.
things. It's like it's flawed, obviously. I mean, Leia flying through
Sure, they
space.
all are, though. They
But
all
that's
are.
the thing,
Yeah,
exactly.
but I care. Like in the
Yeah.
first one, like there are moments where you go, ugh,
Yeah.
from like even the very first movie,
Yeah.
So there's always something that could have been better that you'd
Yeah.
change. So I do understand why people don't dig it, but for me, I really did dig it.
Yeah.
Like I love broken, depressed Luke.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's like I liked Rose until they left the ship. I liked Rose when she stunned
Right.
Finn and
Right.
had the weird crush and admiration for Finn,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until like
Well, that whole
when they got to
casino
the
scene was a
Cenobite,
little.
the whole what?
The whole casino scene was a little.
Yeah, questionable. Yeah, it could have been. I don't mind seeing a different kind of Star Wars environment, but there was some stuff that was too goofy, like putting the coins in BB-8 and then having him somehow mechanically able to fire them out again.
Yeah.
Like I know it's a kids movie, but like that's the stuff that kind of bothered me was the physically impractical
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
Like
it's the
I don't
it's
even mind
the
like Leia flying through space. Like if it had been handled differently, like if she had been fully conscious,
right.
connecting herself in space,
Right.
I would have been absolutely golden with it. As it is, it's out there. That's part of the movie, and
Right.
it's fine.
Right.
That's not the thing that upsets me the worst about it. But overall, I like it. And then the last movie, my wife and I saw it in the theater twice, and drank strong beer both times and really enjoyed it. And when I got it home on Blu-ray, like, I knew the problem with the Rise of Skywalker was that it was another treasure hunt movie. It's you're looking for a thing, for a map, for a guy, for a it's a relic to get you to the next relic to give the character something to do. The trouble is, like, my favorite thing about Star Wars altogether is the concept art. Well, the fan art and the concept art are the two things I like best. And in the introduction to the concept art book for The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams is talking about when they were coming up with ideas of what the trilogy should be about. And so he, by his own admission, they kind of spitballed about this stuff. They wrote some things down, and then they took a long break and kind of procrastinated until the point where it was like, we got to do something. What's it going to be? Okay, they're looking for Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And that's how that decision was made.
Yeah.
Was by people that it seems were either afraid to do anything interesting or unable to do anything interesting.
And then you have the problem where, like Ryan Johnson got, death threats over, stuff. So it's like, make something different. Oh, don't you dare make something different from what I think it should be.
Well, right. Yeah, that's right. And to an extent, like, I see people are irritated with him because he made the thing intentionally knowing that it was going to upset about half the audience, by his own admission.
Yeah.
He said, my ultimate goal in making this movie is half the people walking out happy and half of them walking out bewildered and angry. Yeah. That's a success. And I think he ended up with more angry, bewildered people than he expected.
Well, at least a louder percentage.
Oh, yeah.
Because realistically, the kids still liked it. Most of the people that I know that aren't Star Wars fanatics liked it. It was a fun movie. You know, the whole like them
casual fans, which is what it's mostly made for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And him turning on Snoke, they all thought that was a cool concept, and all those things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that on because my haircut is atrocious. Yeah, no, I liked, and the funny thing is too is like so many people gave Lucas crap about the prequels that they basically shot themselves in the foot because they were afraid to do anything new.
Right. Yeah, the first one was spent just getting people comfortable that it was going to feel like Star Wars again.
Yeah.
And then they found a guy for the second movie whose goal it was to make half the people uncomfortable. And then an angry J.J. Abrams was left to clean up the mess afterwards. And like, do you remember, like, they were talking about they were still re-editing that movie like almost the day before it was released in theaters. Like, it seemed like they were still trying to figure it out like on the Tuesday or Wednesday before the Thursday pre-premiere or whenever I saw it.
It's funny how much stuff is just coming out about the original trilogy now. It makes you wonder how long it'll be before you start getting some of those stories from these movies.
Oh yeah. It's already started. The stars of the film are not happy. I mean, Oscar Isaacson is never happy about anything. Like, every movie he's in, from the X-Men thing, the Dune, like he's always either destroying a co-star or he's like whenever he finishes a project, he is the angriest guy, which is funny because he's so charming on screen, And John Boyega also saying a lot of rotten things about working for Disney and being a part of the Star Wars.
Natalie Portman's never been a Star Wars fan by any means after her after those movies. Yeah. She's now come around a bit on some of that stuff, like admitting that there was some, valor to some of it, but it's like, I was really surprised that she was doing anything more with the Marvel movies even.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm like, what should I say about the Marvel movies? Nothing. But yeah, I mean, she likes to do small artsy movies and direct sometimes, and then
Right.
I'm sure that she needs to do large films to direct money into worthy causes or buy a
Right.
bigger house or whatever the
Yeah.
priority is that week. So, but yeah, that was. I feel bad for some of the actors in the prequels because they were really like wooden performances, but
Yeah.
a lot of the fault probably lies with the great architect as a director.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Lucas, well, it's obvious even with the original trilogy how much different the three movies are in directing, where he had a bigger hand in it and then where he didn't have as big a hand in it.
right,
Empire is a lot of people's favorite movie, and realistically, I mean, although it's
it might have
100%.
been the most miserable one to film, right?
Yeah.
Because like Carrie Fisher was at the height of her drug problem, and
Mhm.
yeah, so yeah, it's funny that out of a lot of those the movies that made us, have you watched
Oh
that
yeah,
thing?
yeah, yeah.
The craziness that went on with Home Alone, like who knew that was such a tumultuous production? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
it's surprising that they get, I mean, any movies produced. I mean, as far as between the big corporate, heads telling you that this has to be the big blockbuster and you better make it the big blockbuster, and do my idea because I've made a movie before, as opposed to, giving the artist, that's the one thing I'd say for the Marvel movies is it seems like they've let the comic creators be a little bit more part of it,
yeah,
you
yep,
know.
yep, that's true. I've enjoyed some of them.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah,
it just
I'm not a 100% fanboy on them. There's been some good ones and some ones.
yeah, yep.
They're still not DC movies. Oof.
Oh yeah, right. Way worse. Sad.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I remember like growing up in Comic Scene magazine used to have the whole back page would be movies that were supposed to be coming out and what
Right.
year they were supposed to be
Oh
coming
yeah.
out.
Like
And like this is all
Nicholas Cage
work
Superman.
what's that?
Like Nicholas Cage Superman.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage Superman. Like the I only saw the review of it. I've never seen the whole movie, but did you ever see the Captain America movie where he kept
Oof.
on like stealing people's cars by pretending he was going to throw up and then stealing their car? Does that sound familiar? Did you ever watch that 90s
I've seen little
movie?
clips of it. I did see the Fantastic Four movie all the way through.
The Roger Corman one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best one. That's as well as you're gonna do.
The sad thing is there was some graphic part of it that actually was pretty decent, for its
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
It
I
just it
love
was
the kind of retro B movie feel of it, like
yeah.
Reed Richards' arms coming in,
Yeah.
he's off screen and all that kind of
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah, it
That's
was definitely, it was kind of um Batman, the original Batman TV show esque kind of
right.
feel to it.
What I wish they had done with the Marvel universe, which it's too late now and they would never do it anyway, was I wish that they had done Fantastic Four and X-Men and stuff like as period movies, like from the early 60s. Can you imagine
Oh
how
yeah.
awesome that would have been? Like all the cool cars and cool clothes
Right.
and
They did a
you
little bit
know
of that with Captain Marvel, but that still wasn't far enough back.
yeah, yep, yep.
Then you
So
also
that's
had the
how I would have done because these stories, the origin stories and what made them hot were more relevant at those times. So
yeah.
they fit the best in those times. And it would
Yeah.
have looked, I don't know. That's just me though. Like, a kid today doesn't want to go see some movie about the 60s with superheroes in it, I'm sure. So that's why there's always going to be somebody more successful than me, no matter what I do. Is that sort of that sort of artistic taste.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of relevancy in modern world that I don't care to have necessarily.
Right, right. It's an ugly world. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is some child's this is the period that some kid in the future is going to look back to fondly, but those of us that know better.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, man, this has been cool. This has been a lot of fun.
Good.
So we have we have a show coming up in April.
Yeah, like mid-March, like second
Mid-March?
week of March, and
Okay.
at the Clutter Gallery in Beacon, New York.
Okay.
And then
We
after
obviously
that,
we don't know what condition the world's going to be at that point, so it might be online, it might be a live show. Who knows?
right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, those poor folks like Miranda and her family that run the gallery already had it, and I think they got it from a gallery opening. So that's
Yeah.
so they're well aware of the risks.
Yeah.
And Ron English got it, and he said
Yeah.
that his lungs are badly enough damaged that he may never spray paint again and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's not fake news.
no, no. And I'll say this too. I've noticed that it's the people that would really benefit from wearing a mask that seem to go without them.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? It's always the most repulsive mutants going around breathing on everybody.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's definitely
really shines a light on people's selfishness and stuff.
Yeah. But
well.
I mean, hopefully we're on the backside of it and things are going the right direction at this point. So we'll see.
What I'm wondering is, as people get immunized and feel they don't have to wear a mask anymore, they're
Well,
going to
that's
pretended they were immunized that
Yeah.
don't want to wear a mask anymore, and it's, I don't know. But there's already resistant strains in the United States, so we're not out of the woods with the current round of vaccinations anyway. So,
and then there's us turning into mutants and stuff like that from a vaccine that's gone wrong, and then
sure.
we'll look a lot like that's prequels to future toy design, because we'll all have tails and extra arms.
People will love those typical 4-inch 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head figures, because that's what humanity used to look like. That was when I was a kid. This is what this was my father looked like before he died of huge tumors.
Before Guadoism was a normal thing.
Right.
Nice. All right, man. Well, nice
a lot of things
you.
I'm probably going to regret, and I want to thank you for that opportunity.
Good deal. Good deal. And we'll catch you. And thanks for watching TESTPLUG.
Thanks. I hope I didn't get too weird on you.